All right, Mr. McAfee, welcome to the show. Thank you very much. It took me a little while to get you on. I appreciate your patience. But I have a number of questions and unfortunately won't be able to get to them all. But let's start with blockchain and cryptocurrencies. We've seen Facebook now have Libra come out. You totally said that was terrible. And I've also heard in Bloomberg recently that blockchain technology may not be the way of the future. What is your take on Libra, and do you think that blockchain digital ledger technology is the future?
Well, my take on Libra is the same that it will be on every government or corporate sponsored cryptocurrency, rather than adhering to the original intent of crypto, which is to free the individual from government control, monitoring, and intrusion, and create our own currency. And we're well on the way to doing that. I mean, everything I buy with crypto, and anybody can. The thing with our cryptocurrencies, like Monero, which is totally private, you can't monitor, you can't control, you don't know who is doing the transaction, for what amount, to whom, and for what. This is really what financial freedom means. It doesn't mean I've got lots of money. No, it means you freed yourself from control of fiat currencies and those who control those currencies. So Libra, no, I mean, Libra is nothing more than a mechanism for Facebook to monitor not just who your friends are and what you're saying, but no, every penny that comes into your account and leaves is monitored, watched, controlled. Please God, this is not what was intended. As to the middle half of your question, which is the blockchain technology may not be the ultimate technology. Of course, it's not. There will never be an ultimate technology. People, I mean, the purpose of technology is to build on the previous technology. But for the foreseeable future, it's the only thing that, number one, was not developed by a government agency or corporation. It was developed by geeks, developers, who gave that source to everybody for free. It belongs to us, the people, and it needs to stay with us, the people. So let governments build their cryptocurrencies. Let Libra build this. Let every corporation have its own. You don't have to use it, people. We have the people's cryptocurrencies now. We have thousands of them. Privacy coins. We have coins for every special purpose function. Please God, people, use these things rather than use the concept as a way to get rich quick by trading them and holding them. That's not the purpose, people. I mean, got no problem with that. Go ahead. We can't all be doing that, else we will have no basis of value anymore. Because the basis of value is the utility of the currency.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I feel like I would love to get your thoughts on this here, but we're constantly in this little battle where technology will advance and it might help the people out, but it seems like these governments and corporations are starting to catch up. You know, they have their own blockchains. A lot of countries have their own blockchains and stuff like that. I haven't seen them talking about putting voting on a blockchain. Do you think that they will do that, or do you think that they will just try to infiltrate the blockchain world and kind of take it over that way?
Well, voting, absolutely. There are voting systems already that have been built on the blockchain, and more coming all the time. Will governments use them? I don't know. It will prevent political parties from having the control over voting that they currently have, because there won't be any more voting fraud, that's for sure.
Totally. And speaking of voting, and obviously you're not only a cybersecurity expert, but you're also, once again, a nominee for president. And I wanted to kind of talk, because once we have this blockchain technology, as you just said, if we put our votes on a blockchain, we wouldn't have to really worry about Russia or China or any other of these large state players interfering in our elections.
No.
But there was an article about a year ago that said, from a Wall Street Journal, I believe it said, oh, we don't have to put voting on the blockchain just yet. It's because I think that they want to have control, not just really Russia or China. It's the U.S. wants to be able to meddle over their own elections and kind of have a leeway. And the thing I like about you, Mr. McAfee, is you are a firebrand. You think outside the box, and you highly, highly value the ideals of human future and liberty. You don't see much of that with the Democrats or the Republicans. If you could speak to not only what you're going to be doing this upcoming election season, but also what you think might happen out there in 2020. To me, it looks like the Democrats have a rather weak field. But you know, who knows what's going to happen from here as far as Trump, and also, you know, we've had Vault 7, Russia, and this election. What do you think is coming up for not just yourself in 2020, but the United States in general?
Well, keep in mind that it's advantageous for a political party to be able to blame another political party or even a foreign government for an election. So, of course, the blockchain is not going to be embraced by any politician right away, because that removes their ability to say it was meddled with. The Russians did it, the Democrats did it, Trump did it, somebody did it. So it's advantageous to have this ambiguity in the election process. As for me, if anybody out there believes that I could ever be president, you need to stop smoking rainbows, because people, that's not going to happen. I'm John McAfee. We know that can't happen. And so why am I running? I'm running because I get the national stage, like I did in 2016. Ran on the Libertarian banner, got the national stage. I need that again because I really need to say what I perceive as wrong with our country, and what steps we can take to prevent this. Not who to elect, because it doesn't. Please God, people, you think it matters? You really think it matters who's president? I mean, can you point to any specific thing in your life which changed for the better or the worse because of the election of a president? It doesn't touch you. It doesn't touch your life. What touches your life is the real government behind this political play. And if you think there's no real government behind, then you simply haven't used your head, people. Because keep in mind, we have agencies like the CIA, arguably the most powerful organization on the planet, who have career personnel. You don't quit the CIA and you're never fired. You may get whacked, but you don't quit and you don't retire. It's a lifelong job, during which time you continue to work for the good of the country. And I truly believe these are not evil people. They're not, satanic people trying to take over the world. No, they're really trying to do what they think is right for America. But the CIA has a word for politicians. They call them transients. It's a very important word to understand because it will give you a clue into what's really happening. The CIA has career people who spend their lives digging into the depths of international relations, political alliances, cultural histories, religions, language, and everything else, such that you could never train a president in 100 years, what the collective of the CIA knows. And they think these transients are incapable of running this country because they are oblivious to the real problems. And the real problems are so complex, you can't explain them to someone as dull as a politician. So they feed Congress and presidents what they need in order to motivate them to act in ways that they want. Prime example, for some reason, God knows why, the CIA needed Iraq to be neutralized and neutered as a power in the Middle East. And the only way to do that was to invade it. Well, how the hell do you get someone to invade it? Well, you tell the president that there are nuclear weapons hidden in that country. Well, fuck me, that'll motivate a president to act, and it did. Were there nuclear weapons? No. The CIA knew it. The American public knew it. We all knew there are no weapons there. Everybody knew except the president and Congress. Please, God, see the truth of this, people. We have a shadow government. It's not even a shadow anymore. It is the government. And as I said, I don't think they're evil people. They're trying to harm America. They are just taking it upon their shoulders to do what they think is in the national interest. And they rule by a very clever trick they invented in the 60s called need to know. I mean, if the president says, do you guys really have aliens? You think they're going to tell a fucking president who's there for 4 years and gone? No, no, of course not. They'll say, well, Mr. President, I regret to say that you do not have a need to know. That's a legal answer to the president of our fucking country. Here is the problem, people. So why are we paying attention to who's driving this automobile with a broken steering wheel? Because it doesn't matter who's sitting there. That car is going to go where it wants, and our system is going where it wants until we all wake up to see the truth. Like people say, what do we do? I don't know. Does it matter? Because this much I do know is when the critical mass of the populace all see the truth, you don't need a fucking plan. It just happens. And if you're in a movie theater and there's a fire and everybody's engrossed in this movie, you don't need a plan. And let's see. So first of all, let's see, I'm going to wake up the guy next to me, instruct him to wake up the guy next to him. Then no, fuck no, you yell fire. And what happens? Everybody turns around and goes, God damn, you're right. And we all escape. I don't know how people, don't ask me that. You don't, nobody knows, but I do know that we have been blinded by this twisted system. Not evil, no, but twisted. Not what we intended. We did not form this country so that a covert group of spies could run it. No matter how good they may say it is, and maybe it is, I don't fucking know. But it's not what we intended. It's not what's right. And this is what must change. Now, you ask for, please give us some practical answer. Well, let's pass a law saying that not just presidents, but all of Congress, and maybe even state senators, or maybe even local sheriffs have the right and the need to know certain things. And let's list those things. Maybe aliens is one of them. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Go to your local sheriff in 2 years and see if you will. So no, this is the problem.
I totally agree. And that's something I've been talking about for a very long time, very many years here on the show, is we could have Jesus Christ and Gandhi run for president and be president for 20 years. It's not going to change the Federal Reserve, the CIA.
No,
so you're absolutely right. And that's why I applaud that the fact that you're getting out there is because, you know, Ron Paul didn't have a snowball shot in hell of winning, but he changed so many people's minds just by getting out there and speaking. And you're such
that's what it's all about. It's just if there one person listens to me and looks around and says, God damn, you're right, then I've done my job.
Absolutely. We have to get people to the critical mass. I would say the practical answer to my own question is continue to get people to the critical mass, and by
to the critical mass of human consciousness. I know it sounds weird or cultish or insane, but it's how it works, people. Look at the great revolutions in art and science and thought and government. Were any of them planned? No. Nobody planned the Russian Revolution. Nobody planned the American Revolution. It just fucking happened out of circumstance when everybody wakes up and goes, good God, the British are never going to let us in peace, are they? And the answer is no. Well, then fuck this stuff about. Duh.
Exactly.
That's it.
So speaking of the fact that this government is twisted and unaccountable to everybody, something that you've been talking about and I've been talking about on this channel for many years now, we've been talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And he doesn't just involve this government, but he also is connected to the royal family, Hollywood, and many, many other people going on. If you could speak about that.
Two countries.
also know that
To
you have a
countries throughout the countries throughout the Caribbean. And this is what people are forgetting. The most corrupt series of countries in the world, all virtually owned by the United States and the CIA. So no, you're right. Nationwide. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, no. I just wanted to maybe hear your thoughts about Epstein, and I did hear that you had an Epstein didn't kill himself token coming. So if you could talk a little bit about that, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, well, I'm a mathematician, and statistics is part of math. And eventually, a series of coincidences happening within a short period of time become virtually impossible mathematically. Let's look at the coincidences in Epstein's case. He's 6 feet 1 inches tall, hung himself from a bunk bed 5 foot 7 inches tall. Right off the bat, your mind wanders, how the fuck did that happen? What did he do? Lift his legs? How many of us could actually do that without putting them down again? I don't know. So let's assume he did that. He broke his neck in multiple places, hang himself from a 5 foot 7 inch bed. He didn't fall from a step ladder. No, it was off of a 5 foot 7 inch bed, and in ways that are indicative of forced strangulation. His cellmate, who he'd had in his cell the entire time he was jailed, was inexplicably removed from his cell the day before. The guards who were on duty never showed up because they said, oh, we were told there's cleaning in that wing and we didn't go in. The video cameras, oddly enough, misaligned, showed nothing anywhere near Epstein's cell, who clearly the most important inmate at that point in time in that jail. Well, I'm sorry. Within a 24-hour period, all of this shit happening is like statistically, you have a higher chance of being hit by a meteor on your wedding day, standing just before you say, I do.
So yeah, one of the things that I think is important, and you've definitely been a major catalyst of it as a popular culture and counterculture figure for that matter, of expressing the other side of the story to the mainstream. And I think now with this whole Epstein thing, and now you've got the coin coming out, I think this is one of the things that, every once in a while, JFK, I think is even almost bigger than 9/11. People are starting to say, hey, maybe think Democrats, Republicans, people are starting to wake up, and maybe, just maybe, Epstein can help get us to the critical mass. I also wanted to ask you about this. I know we only have a few minutes left here. This is a tweet that I had. Maybe you can speak to this, maybe you can't. I didn't write this tweet, but I found it online. And it says, all social media sites are connected through a back channel, a channel some have access to and need for warrants and approvals. If everything is linked together, even fake profiles, you may have the bridge, and they call you the bridge. What the hell are they talking about? Or is this just some drunken tweet here?
Well, it's just some joking tweet. I mean, first of all, that's a very trivial architectural construct for governments getting into. You think you don't need a common backdoor. You just need a backdoor to each social media site. In fact, you don't need backdoors anymore. I mean, there are bots that can run around and collect everything happening on social media, which is fed into massive supercomputers that process and make sense out of this trillions of disparate pieces of information. This is how it works. And I wish there were an easy way to say that, but that's the truth of it. But the issue is not the backdoors, because if we close them, they'd open new ones. And the issue is not cooperation between Google and Facebook and others, cooperation with the government. It's not just that. The issue is our surveillance state, which is out of hand. We watch out for one another as human beings. In tribal society, there's always someone watching, right? Why? I mean, we're a family, we're a tribe. In America, we're a fucking tribe. It's a big one, and we look out for each other. And, so watchfulness in our government is required. Let's watch the fucking Chinese and the Koreans and the Russians and everybody for that matter. I have no problem with that.
Absolutely.
But now, Who are we watching now? We're watching ourselves. The government is watching its citizens. Why? Because unless we're watching you, we don't know if you're a bad actor or not. You could be a terrorist. You could be anybody. So do you see the insanity? We have to remove your right to privacy in order to protect you from those elements that don't deserve right to privacy. Please wake up, people. This is so tragic. This is so tragic.
Could not agree more. I will. I had a couple other questions. I know we're running out of time here. We'll save those for another time. Hopefully, you can join us again because I have some crypto blockchain projects myself I'm working on that are pretty interesting, just about to be done. I know you have. I've heard works about King of the Jungle movie coming out too. What's
Yes.
I know it was McAfee 2020. What are the best places for people to reach you and to help support your projects? And any other predictions or final words that you have, Mr. McAfee? Thank you again.
But to reach me, it's best to reach out to my wife, Janice, through email. That's Mrs. Janice McAfee at Gmail. You can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. And even if you post a reply to one of my tweets, I will generally get it. And if you want to talk to me, I can open up a DM channel. But I'm available to anybody who really just wants to chat. And as to advice, well, do only what you want and nothing else in life, and everything will come to you. I don't know how it works. I wish I did. I mean, I'm a math major and should demand that all things have a formulaic explanation, but for this one, I don't. I just know that if you do what you love, and you do it 18 hours a day, 7 days a week with love. When I started McAfee, I woke up on every morning going, thank God I can go back to work. And then after an 18-hour day, I just couldn't stay awake any longer. I'm going, no, please God, I want to work more. Just like kids playing when they're young. They're playing their games. I don't want to come in. I don't want to go to bed. That was me. And that should be everybody. Everybody. Because if that's not how you approach your work from your true feelings, then fuck me, get out. Because it will destroy your soul and your mind and your body eventually. That's the only advice I can give. And thank you so much for having me on.
Mr. McAfee, thank you so much. You guys heard it here first. And hopefully we'll get a chance to discuss things again before the singularity occurs. And maybe you can send me a Bitcoin so I can get past that ridiculous paywall on BezX. But Mr. McAfee, thank you. You've been very, very kind for coming on. I look forward to speaking with you in the future. God bless and be safe and be healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.